1990s, an era when Detroit thought muscle was dead, when emissions strangled V8s, when minivans ruled the suburbs. But beneath the surface, something dangerous was brewing. Engineers were pushing boundaries again, building machines so powerful, so untamed, that insurance companies literally refused to cover them. Today, we're counting down 12 muscle cars too wild for insurance companies out of the 90s, American legends that made underwriters sweat and left their owners grinning behind the wheel. Number 12, the 1993 Ford Mustang Cobra R. Ford didn't build the Cobra R for soccer practice. They built it for one purpose: domination on road racing circuits across America. In 1993, when most Mustangs were cruising shopping mall parking lots, Ford stripped out the back seat, ditched the air conditioning, removed the radio, and installed a specially tuned 5.0-liter V8 that screamed to 6,500 RPM like it had a personal vendetta against silence. This wasn't your neighbor's pony car. This was a track weapon, wearing street plates. Only 107 units rolled off the production line, each painted vibrant red, each one essentially a race car that somehow convinced the Department of Transportation it belonged on public roads. The Cobra R generated 235 horsepower, which doesn't sound earth-shattering today, but the magic lived in how Ford delivered that power, recalibrated engine management, upgraded exhaust headers, a specialized intake system, and suspension geometry, borrowed directly from Ford's racing program, transformed the Mustang into something insurance companies viewed with genuine alarm. Young buyers couldn't get coverage. Older enthusiasts faced premiums that rivaled mortgage payments. The Cobra R represented something Detroit had forgotten. That performance wasn't just about straight-line speed. It was about commitment, about sacrifice, about choosing power over comfort. The racing seats hugged your torso like a second skin. The roll cage loomed overhead, a constant reminder that this machine meant business. Ford even deleted sound-deadening material, saving precious pounds while creating a cockpit that amplified every mechanical symphony the engine performed. The suspension setup borrowed heavily from Ford's Mustang racing program, featuring adjustable dampers, stiffer springs, and larger anti-roll bars that transformed handling dynamics. Where standard Mustangs wallowed through corners, the Cobra R attacked them with precision and composure. Insurance underwriters looked at these specifications and saw disaster waiting to happen. A stripped-out race car with minimal comfort features naturally attracted drivers who prioritized speed over safety. Anyone ordering a Cobra R knew exactly what they were buying: unfiltered performance that demanded skill, attention, and respect. Companies denied coverage or quoted premiums so astronomical that many potential buyers simply walked away. Number 11, the 1996 Chevrolet Impala SS. Grandmother's sedan just got dangerous. The Impala SS looked like something that should be carpooling kids to school. But under that conservative sheet metal lurked the heart of a Corvette. Chevrolet dropped the LT1 V8, yes, the actual Corvette engine, into their full-size sedan, creating 260 horsepower and 330 pound-feet of torque, wrapped in 4,000 pounds of midnight black intimidation. This was the automotive equivalent of a wolf in sheep's clothing, except the sheep weighed 2 tons and hit 60 miles per hour in 6.5 seconds. Insurance companies hated the Impala SS because it contradicted every actuarial table they'd ever written. Soccer moms drove Impalas. Retirees drove Impalas. But this Impala attracted lead-footed enthusiasts who saw a sleeper sedan that could embarrass sports cars at traffic lights while carrying 4 adults in air-conditioned comfort. The combination of V8 power, rear-wheel drive, and that deceptively mundane exterior created an underwriting nightmare. How do you price risk for a car that looks responsible but performs recklessly? Chevrolet only offered the Impala SS in black or dark cherry metallic, adding to its sinister presence. The monochromatic treatment, black grille, black wheels, black trim, made it look like an unmarked police interceptor, which wasn't entirely accidental. This sedan shared DNA with law enforcement caprices, using similar suspension components, and that glorious LT1 power plant quarter-mile times hovered around 15 seconds flat. Impressive for something that could swallow a week's worth of groceries without breaking a sweat. The exhaust note ranged from subtle burble at idle to full-throated roar, at wide-open throttle, creating an acoustic signature that announced presence without screaming for attention. The interior appointments surprised buyers, expecting stripped-down muscle car austerity. Leather seats, premium audio systems, full instrumentation, and dual-zone climate control created an environment more luxurious than aggressive. This juxtaposition defined the Impala SS experience. Gentleman's Express that transformed into street brawler the moment you buried the throttle. Handling dynamics impressed despite the Impala's substantial mass. Chevrolet equipped the SS with performance-tuned suspension that controlled body motion surprisingly well. The car felt planted, stable, and confidence-inspiring, even when pushing through curves at speeds that should have induced understeer. The Impala SS could carve canyon roads with competence that embarrassed lighter machinery. Number 10. The 1995 Pontiac Firebird formula. While the Trans Am grabbed headlines with its screaming chicken graphics and boy racer reputation, the formula quietly offered everything that mattered. Raw power without the peacock feathers, Pontiac stuffed the LT one small block V8 under the formula's hood, delivering 275 horsepower through a 6-speed manual transmission that felt like operating heavy machinery in the best possible way. This wasn't a car for posing. This was a car for driving. The formula represented Pontiac's performance philosophy at its purest. Strip away unnecessary badges, skip the flashy ground effects, delete the luxury options, and focus everything on speed. The result was a lighter, meaner Firebird that insurance companies flagged immediately. Young buyers faced astronomical premiums or outright rejection. Even experienced drivers found themselves explaining to skeptical agents why they needed a car capable of mid-13-second quarter miles and top speeds pushing 160 miles per hour. The formula's reputation for attracting speeding tickets didn't help. Neither did its tendency to roast rear tires on demand. But that was precisely the point. The formula appealed to drivers who understood that performance wasn't about image. It was about the feeling when you mashed the throttle and felt 325 pound-feet of torque shove you back into manually adjustable cloth seats. It was about the exhaust note bouncing off highway overpasses at 4,000 RPM. It was about choosing function over flash, speed over style, even though the formula's clean lines and aggressive stance delivered plenty of both. The weight savings compared to fully loaded Trans Ams might have seemed modest on paper, but enthusiasts felt the difference immediately. Every pound removed improved power-to-weight ratio, sharpened handling response, and reduced rotational inertia. The formula felt more eager, more responsive, more alive than its badge-engineered siblings. Acceleration runs felt more violent, braking distances shortened, corner entry speeds increased. Pontiac's engineers understood something fundamental about performance. Simplicity creates purity. By stripping away non-essential features, they'd created a Firebird that communicated directly with drivers. You heard every combustion event, felt every shift shock through the transmission, experienced every road imperfection through the suspension. This direct connection made the formula intoxicating to enthusiasts. Number 9. The 1994 Ford Mustang SVT Cobra. Ford's special vehicle team understood that the Fox body Mustang had overstayed its welcome. The 1994 Cobra emerged as their answer. A completely redesigned platform, with independent rear suspension borrowed from the Thunderbird, updated styling that finally moved beyond the 80s, and a massaged 5.0 V8, producing 240 horsepower. But the real story wasn't those numbers. The real story was how everything worked together to create a balanced, controllable muscle car that terrified insurance underwriters, precisely because it handled well enough to encourage speeds previously impossible in a Mustang. Previous Mustangs asked you to wrestle them through corners. The 94 Cobra invited you to dance. That new rear suspension transformed handling dynamics, allowing drivers to carry more speed through curves, brake later, accelerate earlier. Insurance companies recognized the problem immediately. A muscle car that handled like a sports car meant drivers could get into trouble faster, in more creative ways, in more dangerous situations. Traditional Mustangs overwhelmed inexperienced pilots in straightaways. The Cobra overwhelmed them everywhere. Ford sold 10,041 Cobras that first year, each one finished in either Rio Red, Crystal White, or Black. The 5-speed manual transmission snicked through gates with mechanical precision. The limited slip differential put power down effectively. And the upgraded brakes actually stopped this 2-ton machine with confidence. Quarter-mile times dropped into the mid-14s. But that wasn't the point. The point was that Ford had finally built a complete performance package, not just an engine with wheels. The interior transformation matched the mechanical improvements. Gone were the cheap plastics and budget switchgear that plagued Fox body Mustangs. The '94 Cobra featured improved materials, better ergonomics, and a more cohesive design language that felt contemporary rather than dated. The seats provided genuine support during aggressive driving. Ford had sweated the details, creating an environment where drivers felt confident pushing limits. That confidence created insurance headaches. When drivers feel comfortable in performance cars, they explore performance. The Cobra's improved handling meant drivers could maintain higher speeds through corners. The upgraded brakes meant they could brake later into those corners. Number 8. The 1996 Chevrolet Camaro Z28 SS. When Chevrolet decided to resurrect the legendary SS badge for the Camaro, they didn't mess around. The Z28 SS combined every performance option available on the 4th-generation F-body platform into one aggressive package, the LT1 Corvette V8, producing 305 horsepower. A Hurst 6-speed manual shifter, 4-wheel disc brakes, and suspension tuning that transformed the already capable Z28 into something genuinely frightening. This wasn't just fast. This was launch control. Traction struggling, tire smoking fast. Insurance companies took one look at the SS's specification sheet and reached for the premium calculator. 0 to 60 arrived in 5.3 seconds. The quarter-mile disappeared in 13.7 seconds at over 100 miles per hour. Top speed brushed against 160 miles per hour before aerodynamics and electronic governors intervened. But raw numbers only told part of the story. The SS attracted buyers who wanted the most aggressive Camaro available, buyers who understood how to use 305 horsepower, buyers whose driving records sometimes reflected their enthusiasm for speed. From an actuarial perspective, the SS was a perfect storm of power, capability, and demographic risk. Chevrolet enhanced the package with functional hood scoops that actually fed cold air to the engine, 17-inch aluminum wheels wearing aggressive rubber, and exterior graphics that announced this car's intentions from 3 blocks away. The SS wasn't subtle. It wasn't trying to be. Everything about its design screamed performance, from the ground effects to the rear spoiler to the dual exhaust tips emerging from the rear fascia. This was muscle car theater at its finest, backed by legitimate capability that justified the drama. The Hurst shifter represented more than nostalgia. This was genuine Hurst hardware, engineered specifically for the LT1-powered F-body platform, delivering shift quality that made rowing through gears feel like operating precision machinery. Throws were short, gates were well-defined, and the mechanical connection between hand and transmission created engagement that modern remote linkages can't replicate. Suspension tuning separated the SS from lesser Camaros in ways that specification sheets couldn't fully convey. Chevrolet's engineers had optimized spring rates, damper curves, and anti-roll bar stiffness to create a platform that balanced compliance with control. The SS absorbed road imperfections without wallowing, maintained composure through high-speed transitions, and communicated tire grip levels directly to the driver. Number 7. The 1998 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am WS6. The WS6 performance package transformed the Trans Am from flashy cruiser into legitimate supercar killer. Pontiac engineers borrowed the LS1 aluminum V8 from the Corvette, extracted 320 horsepower, added functional ram air induction through those iconic hood scoops, installed upgraded exhaust manifolds, recalibrated the engine management system, and created a monster that destroyed quarter miles in 13.3 seconds. Insurance companies didn't just raise premiums for WS6 buyers, they questioned their judgment. But here's what made the WS6 truly dangerous. It looked like every other Trans Am to casual observers. Same screaming chicken hood graphic, same aggressive stance, same wedge-shaped profile. Only the subtle WS6 badges and functional hood scoops hinted at the fury underneath. This anonymity made it worse for insurers. At least obvious performance cars telegraphed their intentions. The WS6 could blend into traffic, then annihilate anything foolish enough to accept its challenge. Police couldn't target it specifically. Insurance companies couldn't price based on appearance. The WS6 operated in the shadows, a stealth bomber wearing Firebird bodywork. Pontiac's ram air system deserved special recognition. Those hood scoops weren't decorative. They channeled cold, dense air directly into the intake manifold, creating a natural supercharging effect at highway speeds. Drivers reported feeling the engine pull harder above 60 miles per hour as ram air pressure built. This wasn't marketing fantasy. This was functional engineering that added genuine performance, transforming an already powerful car into something capable of humbling machinery, costing twice as much. The WS6 represented everything right about 90s muscle, modern technology, classic attitude, and enough power to make insurance companies sweat. The LS1 engine family represented General Motors, engineering at its finest. Aluminum block construction saved weight compared to traditional iron small blocks. Advanced engine management systems optimized fuel delivery and ignition timing across the entire operating range. Improved cooling systems maintained consistent temperatures even during sustained high-performance driving. Every component reflected lessons learned from decades of V8 development, resulting in an engine that delivered modern performance with legendary reliability. Transmission options included both 6-speed manual and 4-speed automatic, but enthusiasts universally preferred rowing their own gears. The manual transmission provided direct mechanical connection between driver and drivetrain, allowing precise control over power delivery and engine speed. The WS6's exhaust system created an acoustic signature that became legendary among enthusiasts. The combination of upgraded manifolds, free-flowing catalytic converters, and carefully tuned mufflers produced a sound that ranged from civilized burble at idle to apocalyptic roar at redline. This wasn't artificial enhancement. This was pure mechanical symphony. Number 6, the 1999 Ford Mustang S VT Cobra. Ford's engineers must have been drinking something special in 1999. The Cobra received an all-new 4.6-liter DOHC V8 with independent rear suspension, delivering a claimed 320 horsepower. But here's where things got interesting. Initial production. Cobras underperformed those numbers significantly. Ford recalled every single one, corrected the engine calibration issues, and the corrected versions actually over-delivered, producing closer to 335 horsepower. Insurance companies watched this circus unfold and raised rates accordingly, because any car generating that much drama before owners even drove it home clearly attracted trouble. The corrected Cobras became legends. 0 to 60 times dropped into the mid-4-second range. Quarter miles evaporated in high 12s at 110 miles per hour. The independent rear suspension finally gave Mustang handling dynamics worthy of its power output, creating a balanced platform that encouraged spirited driving on roads where spirited driving attracted police attention. Ford limited production to just over 8,000 units after the recall debacle, making these Cobras instant collectibles while simultaneously flagging them as high-risk insurance nightmares. What separated the 99 Cobra from previous iterations wasn't just power or handling, it was attitude. Ford had finally built a Mustang that felt genuinely modern, genuinely sophisticated, genuinely capable of running with European sports cars that cost 50% more. The DOHC engine screamed to 6,500 RPM with an urgency earlier Mustangs never possessed. The chassis remained composed through corners that would have sent Fox bodies spinning into ditches. This was the Cobra that proved American muscle could evolve without losing its soul, even if insurance companies wished it had stayed primitive and slow. The recall saga created unexpected consequences beyond simple performance metrics. Enthusiasts who received corrected Cobras developed fierce loyalty to Ford, appreciating the company's willingness to acknowledge mistakes and make things right. Word spread quickly. The corrected 99 Cobra was something special, a muscle car that finally delivered on promises previous generations had only approximated. The DOHC engine architecture provided benefits beyond simple horsepower numbers. 4 valves per cylinder improved breathing at high RPM, allowing the engine to make power where previous Mustang engines merely made noise. Variable cam timing optimized torque delivery across the operating range, creating broader, more usable power bands. Chassis improvements matched engine enhancements. The independent rear suspension eliminated the wheel hop and axle tramp that plagued previous Mustangs during hard launches. Cornering dynamics improved dramatically, as the suspension could now maintain optimal tire contact patches through complex load transfers. The Cobra finally handled like a modern performance car. Number 5. The 1991 GMC Cyclone. GMC took their compact Sonoma pickup, installed a turbocharged 4.3-liter V6, producing 280 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque, added all-wheel drive with sophisticated torque distribution, lowered the suspension, and created the fastest production vehicle General Motors had ever built. Insurance companies didn't know whether to categorize it as a truck or a sports car. The Cyclone destroyed 0 to 60 runs in 4.3 seconds. Read that again, 4.3 seconds in 1991. Faster than contemporary Corvettes, faster than Porsches, faster than nearly everything on American roads. Quarter-mile times hovered around 13.4 seconds, achieved through brutal turbo torque and launch control traction that put every horsepower to pavement. This wasn't just impressive for a truck. This was impressive, period, representing GMC's middle finger to everyone who claimed American performance was dead. Production lasted only 1 year. GMC built precisely 2,995 units before pulling the plug, making the Cyclone one of the rarest performance vehicles of the decade. Insurance companies breathed easier when production ended, having spent that year explaining to shocked Cyclone buyers why their premiums resembled exotic car rates. The problem wasn't just speed. The problem was unpredictability. Who expects a pickup truck to run 12-second quarter miles? Police certainly didn't. Other drivers definitely didn't. Insurance actuaries built their models on predictable behavior, and the Cyclone shattered every prediction. The all-wheel drive system represented advanced technology for early 90s applications. Rather than simple 50-50 torque split, the Cyclone featured electronic control that could vary power distribution based on wheel slip, throttle position, and vehicle speed. Under aggressive launches, the system sent maximum torque rearward for optimal acceleration. During cornering, it could bias power forward or rearward to optimize grip and handling balance. Turbocharger technology in 1991 still carried baggage from the 80s turbo lag nightmares. The Cyclone defied expectations, delivering boost builds that felt nearly instantaneous. Credit-careful turbo sizing, advanced wastegate control, and engine management calibration that optimized boost delivery without sacrificing reliability. The suspension setup combined lowered ride height with performance-tuned dampers and springs. The result transformed pickup truck dynamics into something approaching sports car handling. Body roll remained minimal during transitions. Steering response felt immediate and predictable. The Cyclone carved corners with competence that made passengers forget they were riding in a truck. Number 4. The 1993 Dodge Viper RT10. Some vehicles transcend muscle car classification entirely, entering supercar territory while maintaining American muscle attitude. The original Viper embodied this paradox perfectly. Dodge engineers took an 8.0-liter V10 engine, initially designed for truck applications, massaged it into 400 horsepower, bolted it into a lightweight fiberglass roadster with side exhaust pipes. No traction control, no anti-lock brakes, no driver aids whatsoever, and created something insurance companies viewed as borderline uninsurable for average buyers. The Viper didn't just go fast, it went fast violently, aggressively, with an exhaust note that sounded like thunder recorded inside a steel drum. 0 to 60 vanished in 4.6 seconds, but that number understated the Viper's brutality. This was analog performance at its rawest, demanding skill, attention, and respect from anyone brave enough to mash the accelerator. The torque curve resembled a cliff face, the steering felt like arm wrestling, and the complete absence of electronic nannies meant driver skill determined outcomes. Inexperienced pilots crashed Vipers with alarming regularity, creating insurance claims that made underwriters question why they'd covered these machines in the first place. Dodge built the Viper as America's answer to European exotics, proving Detroit could still build something genuinely exotic when engineers were allowed to ignore common sense. The side-mounted exhaust pipes generated enough heat to cook eggs. The minimalist interior offered nothing except essential controls, and the convertible top installation process required mechanical aptitude and patience. This wasn't a car for everyone. It wasn't trying to be. The Viper served notice that American performance hadn't died. It had just been hibernating, waiting for someone brave enough to wake it. The V10 engine configuration provided unique characteristics compared to traditional V8s. The additional 2 cylinders created smoother power delivery across the rev range while generating torque numbers that approached truck-like figures. 450 pound-feet of torque arrived at 3,600 RPM, creating thrust that could break traction in multiple gears, despite the Viper's massive rear tires. The absence of driver aids distinguished the Viper from contemporary supercars embracing electronic assistance. No traction control meant throttle modulation, determined whether rear tires gripped or simply vaporized. No anti-lock brakes meant threshold braking became a learned skill rather than computer-managed certainty. This analog purity attracted serious driving enthusiasts while terrifying casual buyers. Dodge's styling created instant icon status. The Viper looked fast, standing still, with bodywork that suggested speed through pure visual aggression. Long hood, short deck proportions communicated rear-wheel drive performance. Massive fender bulges accommodated equally massive tires. Every styling element served purpose, creating form that followed function toward intimidation. Number 3. The 1996 Chevrolet Corvette Grand Sport. Chevrolet celebrated the final year of C4, Corvette production, with a send-off that made insurance companies reconsider their career choices. The Grand Sport package combined the LT4, small block V8 producing 330 horsepower with wider rear bodywork, enormous Goodyear run-flat tires, upgraded suspension, functional brake cooling, and Admiral blue paint with white racing stripes that screamed velocity even when stationary. Only 1,000 units were produced, 810 coupes, and 190 convertibles, making each one an instant collector piece and insurance nightmare. The Grand Sport represented Corvette's competition heritage distilled into street legal form. Those wider rear fenders weren't styling exercises. They accommodated meatier rubber that helped channel 330 horsepower and 340 pound-feet of torque to asphalt without instantly vaporizing traction. The functional brake ducts actually cooled rotors during aggressive driving, allowing repeatable stops from triple-digit speeds. Every element served performance, creating a package that encouraged drivers to explore limits that insurance companies preferred remain unexplored. Quarter-mile times dropped into the high 12s, but the Grand Sport's real talent emerged on winding roads, where its balanced chassis and upgraded suspension allowed cornering speeds that made passengers question their mortality. Chevrolet had built the C4's greatest hits album, combining lessons learned across 12 years of production into one ultimate expression. Insurance underwriters recognized the danger immediately. Enthusiastic buyers purchasing limited production performance machines tended to use that performance, generating claims that justified astronomical premiums or outright coverage denial. The limited production numbers created unique insurance challenges. When only 1,000 examples exist, replacement part availability becomes questionable. Specialized body panels and Grand Sport-specific components couldn't be ordered from standard Corvette inventory. Insurance companies factored these complications into premium calculations, recognizing that even minor accidents could generate disproportionate repair costs. Chevrolet's decision to limit colors to Admiral Blue with white stripes or Black Rose with red stripes made Grand Sports instantly recognizable, attracting attention from law enforcement and other drivers. Owners couldn't blend into traffic anonymously. Every Grand Sport announced its presence visually before its exhaust note added acoustic confirmation. Number 2. The 1995 Chevrolet Camaro Z28. Before the SS package arrived, the Z28 represented Camaro's performance pinnacle. The LT1 V8 produced 275 horsepower through a slick 6-speed manual transmission, propelling this F-body rocket to 60 miles per hour in 5.7 seconds, and through the quarter mile in 14.1 seconds. But raw numbers only partially explained why insurance companies treated Z28 buyers like radioactive risks. The real problem was demographic. Young enthusiasts gravitated toward the Z28 in droves, attracted by its aggressive styling, genuine performance, and relative affordability compared to Corvettes. Claims data reflected this enthusiasm, showing Z28 owners accumulated speeding tickets, accident reports, and insurance payouts at rates that made underwriters wince. Chevrolet didn't help matters by styling the Z28 like a concept car that escaped the auto show. Ground effects, hood scoops, rear spoiler, fog lights. Everything screamed performance. The interior wrapped drivers in supportive seats facing a dashboard cluster that encouraged monitoring RPMs like a hawk watches prey. This was theater, presentation, drama, all backing legitimate capability that justified the aggressive appearance. The Z28 could walk the walk, not just talk the talk. What made the Z28 truly special was how it balanced everyday usability with track-worthy performance. Air conditioning worked, the stereo played, the ride quality remained tolerable on rough pavement. You could daily drive a Z28, commute in comfort, then destroy competitors at weekend drag strips without changing anything except tire pressure. This versatility made it dangerous because owners didn't need a second vehicle for fun. The fun happened whenever they turned the key, and insurance companies paid for the consequences. The fourth-generation F-body platform represented significant evolution from previous Camaro generations. Aerodynamic improvements reduced drag coefficients substantially, improving high-speed stability and fuel economy. Simultaneously, chassis rigidity increased through strategic reinforcement and more sophisticated construction techniques. Weight distribution approached ideal 50-50 balance, enhancing handling neutrality and predictability. The LT1 engine in Z28 trim featured modifications that enhanced performance while maintaining reliability. Revised camshaft profiles optimized valve timing for street driving. Improved cooling systems prevented overheating during sustained high-performance use. Chevrolet had engineered the LT1 for durability under abuse. Interior appointments reflected the Z28's performance mission. Deeply bolstered seats provided support during aggressive maneuvers. The steering wheel filled your hands with leather-wrapped authority. Gauges delivered critical information at a glance, including the tachometer prominently positioned directly ahead of the driver. Number 1. The 1991 Chevrolet Corvette ZR1. The king of the hill. The LT5-powered ZR1 represented Chevrolet's moonshot, their declaration that American engineering could match anything Europe produced. Engineers designed an all-aluminum, 32-valve dual overhead cam V8 specifically for this Corvette, extracting 375 horsepower from 5.7 liters. Astonishing output for naturally aspirated early 90s technology. They widened the rear bodywork to accommodate massive tires, upgraded everything from brakes to suspension to cooling systems, and created a machine capable of 180 miles per hour. Insurance companies responded by treating ZR1 buyers like they'd announced plans to join a demolition derby. The ZR1 wasn't just fast, it was sophisticated, technical, advanced, qualities that made it scarier than raw power alone. This Corvette handled like a European exotic, stopped like its life depended on it, and accelerated with relentless fury that only ended when drivers lifted or physics intervened. 0 to 60 required just 4.9 seconds. The quarter mile evaporated in 13.4 seconds. But those numbers understated the ZR1's character. Its willingness to devour miles at speeds that attracted helicopter attention, its stability at velocities where lesser cars became airborne nightmares. Chevrolet built only 6,939 ZR1s across 2 years, pricing them at nearly double the base Corvette's cost. This exclusivity created additional insurance headaches, because rare performance cars attracted attention from thieves, joyriders, and enthusiasts, whose judgment sometimes wavered when confronted with 375 horsepower claims. For stolen or totaled ZR1s devastated insurance company balance sheets, leading many underwriters to simply refuse coverage rather than assume the risk. The ZR1 proved that American engineers could build world-class performance machinery when corporate bureaucracy stepped aside. Every component existed for purpose, from the specially tuned exhaust note to the wider stance to the functional cooling vents perforating the bodywork. This wasn't marketing hyperbole masquerading as performance. This was legitimate engineering excellence, the kind that made insurance companies nervous, because they understood that owners of machines this capable tended to explore those capabilities frequently, enthusiastically, and expensively. The LT5 engine represented extraordinary engineering achievement. Mercury Marine collaborated with Chevrolet to develop this power plant, bringing marine expertise to automotive applications. 4 valves per cylinder optimized breathing. Dual overhead camshafts allowed precise valve timing control. Aluminum construction saved weight compared to iron alternatives. The result was an engine that revved eagerly, made power across its entire operating range, and sounded like mechanical perfection when pushed toward redline. Chassis modifications extended beyond simple suspension tuning. Chevrolet widened the rear track substantially, requiring unique bodywork that became the ZR1's visual signature. Larger wheels and tires improved grip dramatically. Upgraded brakes provided stopping power worthy of the acceleration capability. Every change served a specific purpose, creating a vehicle that functioned as a cohesive system rather than a collection of bolt-on parts. The ZR1's price positioned it against exotic machinery from Ferrari, Porsche, and Lamborghini. Chevrolet deliberately targeted this segment, seeking to prove American engineering could compete with established exotic manufacturers. The strategy worked brilliantly from a performance perspective. ZR1s embarrassed Ferraris on racetracks, outhandled Porsches through mountain roads, and demonstrated capabilities that justified their premium pricing. Collector interest in ZR1s began immediately upon release and never diminished. Low production numbers, combined with groundbreaking performance, created instant collectability. Values remained strong through market fluctuations that devastated lesser performance cars. Insurance companies faced unique challenges, covering appreciating assets driven regularly by enthusiastic owners. These 12 legends defined American performance when everyone claimed muscle was extinct. They proved that horsepower and heritage still mattered in an era obsessed with fuel economy. Insurance companies flagged them as risks because they were risks. Beautiful, dangerous machines built by engineers who remembered that cars should make hearts pound. Which of these insurance nightmares would you risk everything to own? Drop your answer in the comments and hit subscribe for more stories from the horsepower war.